Welcome back to Monday Night Conversations. You are watching an abbreviated episode because I forgot to hit record on the video. Totally my fault. A little bit of Matt's fault, but really just mine. I
think my Yankees take was just so good that you were so mesmerized that you're like, I can't think of anything else.
Oh my God, frustrating for me, but funny for everyone who's listening and wants me to feel bad about myself. So we just had a pretty extensive Yankees talk, and bottom line is that F them. The World Series, was a blip on the radar of sports where the NBA was starting and the NFL was in full gear, and not many people paid attention, even though it had the best possible matchup. The Yankees have a lot to do in terms of getting themselves right. I mean, it's not a failed season, Matt. They made the World Series.
No.
It just doesn't look like their team doesn't look like it's headed in the right direction, I think, is the overall lesson.
It's also a very down year for the American League in general, really across the board. Texas basically cratered. The Astros were worse than they have been in the last, most of the last decade. Orioles obviously had all the injuries. Red Sox plummeted. So, yeah, they kind of just were given the playoffs and kind of walked their way through it, facing, before the season, if you told me they had to get through Kansas City and Cleveland to get to the World Series, I'd say, yeah, probably they will. So they did what they were supposed to do. They lost to a much better team. The Dodgers are going to probably be on a run now that is they're going to knock out some World Series. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I don't have anything against the Dodgers. I don't live in L.A. Being a transplant, so it's not like I would hate them for any reason. They don't play against the Orioles. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is a tremendously fascinating sports figure to me. And the fact that he got his interpreter to take the fall for him betting millions of dollars is also very interesting.
Yeah.
It's all very interesting. Good for the Dodgers. Good for LA fans. They need it badly. They needed a win. They don't get enough. They don't get enough praise over there.
Well, they also get earthquakes.
Yeah. So East Coast gets hurricanes.
Think about the anxiety of a daily earthquake, Scott, and then
daily earthquakes.
How dare you?
Daily earthquakes.
I'm daily earthquake anxiety.
No.
Today could be the day for the big one, and then all of a sudden, it's Escape from L.A. Snake Plissken coming to save the day and has to extract people out of L.A. It's going to be a problem.
Let me tell you what. When that super volcano in Yosemite goes off, we're all going to have a big problem, Matt.
What happened to Yosemite?
The super volcano in Yosemite, when that goes off, boy, nobody is going to be safe in North America.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a problem. We don't like volcanoes in America, but you know who doesn't? You know who's going to save us from America? Whoever wins the election.
Yeah, they're
going
to make America great again. No,
they're on an anti-volcano platform.
Though if someone came with an anti-volcano platform, I would vote for them.
It would definitely sway me. Like if either one of them were just like, you know what? Let's go get these son of a bitch volcanoes. I'd be like, I'm with you.
It's like, hey guys, volcanoes, what are we letting them go off for?
And also, if the National Guard's for anything, isn't it for volcano protection? Like,
yep.
Kind of like, like I'm here for God, country, and volcano protection.
Now you're making too much sense. They're probably going to take this podcast down, Matt, because Big Volcano doesn't want the truth to get out.
No, because they know what's going to happen one day, and they want to keep it a secret.
Well, let's move from a potential massive disaster to a clearly masterpiece in the show Penguin on HBO.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's
that good.
It is so good. I don't care about superheroes. I do like Batman in particular, like the original Batman and even the Dark Knight. Those movies were great. But
Batman's different. Batman is not a superhero with superpowers flying around. He's just a dude like me and you with a lot of money and a mean streak, basically. Like that's it.
But I do want to be clear, and I think there's 6 episodes out. I'm only 5 episodes in. There's not one mention of Batman. He's not in this show at all, as far as I can tell.
This is pre-Batman. Now, I think there was a mention to to Bruce Wayne at some point in one of the early episodes.
Maybe in like a news clip
in a news clip or a newspaper. But it has really nothing to do with the show at the moment. Basically,
which I love that about the show.
I mean, the show is essentially a gangster show about the rise of a gangster who's the Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, who you do not know it's Colin Farrell. I'll tell you that right now.
You have no let me just give him a lot of credit. His New York accent is really good. His whole character is great. The show is such a just like classic HBO gripping, gritty drama that it just takes me out. It like there's 0% chance you can tell it's him. And it is so well done. I love the kid who he brings on as his assistant. I love Sophia Falcone. The whole show is great.
She's great.
Yeah, where's she from?
She was in How I Met Your Mother. She was the actual woman who was the woman at the end. She was also in.
Spoiler alert, Matt! What the hell?
Oh, you've never watched it?
No, but who cares? I don't care.
Okay, she was also in the Amazon show. About she was married to some tech billionaire. I don't know if you checked that out. It was like a half-hour comedy. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She's actually pretty good.
Familiar. She looks really familiar.
There's a lot of it's a show with not a lot of big names, but a lot of I know that guy.
Yeah, a lot of that guys.
A lot of those guys.
No, but so far the Penguin is sort of like a low-level like soldier who has gotten a name for himself by turning on the daughter of the crime boss and giving the boss information, and he's risen up in the ranks, but he's not like anyone special. He's not a made man or anything. And then a series of events happens where it puts him into power, and not even into power yet, but he's in the position to make big decisions.
Right. Essentially, he's trying to take over Gotham as the head crime figure, or at least make the most money by launching a new drug. That's kind of the premise of his operation. And then the two original crime families are essentially out to get him because everyone realizes that he's a snake and the Penguin and all this stuff. And so I mean that's basically the extent of what the show's about. But it's not like nonstop blood and guts. There's a lot of deep mother-son stuff with the Penguin and his mom that like. You don't think Danny DeVito when you watch the show. I think that's I think that's a good point. Or you don't think of Burgess Meredith in the 1960s Batman live action show. He plays a real gangster, and the whole Penguin really comes from like he does this weird thing with his tongue, and then he's got a bum leg and he waddles around. Yeah,
it's because he waddles and he has a pointy nose. I think that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, but he's all scarred up. Colin Farrell is becoming really, really on my short list of favorite actors of all time.
Yeah, he's great. He's really good.
He did that movie last year about the friendship in Ireland. Can't think of the name, but I was obsessed with the movie.
Yeah. I got to watch that movie. He did the Lobster was really good.
The Lobster was amazing. He was great in The Lobster. He's just a phenomenal actor. And I couldn't recommend the show more than I do. You do not have to even care about that. It really has zero to do with the Batman universe yet.
It doesn't. It's not a superhero thing. It's just the only thing that's similar is it takes place in Gotham, and it's called The Penguin, but it's really just a gangster show, and it's really I love it. It's so good.
This show could have taken place in New York City with the Penguin being a different character. He could have been named like Falcone or whatever as well, and it would still be just as good of a show. I feel like.
Yeah.
But Gotham adds a little bit of grit to it because,
Well, it's also the IP. They want to keep it in the Batman universe. You need to.
And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Easter eggs as this keeps going and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, we talked a couple months ago about the best shows of the 2020s, and this is quickly ascending up the ranks of best shows, along with my favorite show of the 2020s, Tulsa King.
You're not serious with the Tulsa King.
Great season. What a great season. There's gangsters from Kansas City that have come into play. There's a lot of stuff going on back from New York.
I do like the Kansas City Mafia angle. Yeah. I will say that. I do like Stallone, but he's just the plastic surgery makes me really have problems watching him.
Why? He just looks so handsome and young.
He just looks like a frozen statue. That's the whole show. I mean, but it's good because you want to be in that world where he is grunting and making sounds.
He's like, you don't want to talk to me that way, or else you're
like,
gonna get the bull with the horn.
Come here, Tulsa, take a boat of the Tulsa. I'm gonna come take it over. It's good.
You don't come to Tulsa and come on my turf here where I'm the king.
It's a very B show. It's a B. It's above average. It ain't great. It's not bad, but it's.
I'll tell you what. I've been looking at the streaming rankings, and it's consistently top 5 in streaming shows every week.
Here's my problem with your streaming show analysis. First season just started streaming on Netflix. Is that counted into the stats?
Oh, that might. I don't know. Like
because no one cares about Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So like I bet you it explode because I know it's on the top. I know it was like number 2 on Netflix. So That's
interesting.
Because and it's the same thing happened with Friends. The Netflix bump is a real thing.
Yeah. No,
When they get these rights, people just watch and watch and watch.
Makes a lot of sense. But overall message here: go watch The Penguin and Tulsa King, but The Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin first, then Tulsa King.
Yeah.
Tulsa Kings you can watch whenever. It's a good I'm not doing anything today show, but like it's not appointment viewing, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, Matt. We are going to talk a little bit of basketball now. We're going to get into a 6-pack because it's been just over a week of the NBA and we have some interesting takes. By the way, we never told the audience, and I will put this in the video, but the final amount of teams in our wins draft of who has who. And I'm just going to go down the list very quickly of total teams that Scott has and total teams that Matt has. I'll start with Scott because I'm Scott and I am better than Matt. My teams are the Celtics, the Sixers, the Magic, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Pistons, the Cavs. In the East and in the West, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Spurs. Matt's teams in the East are Knicks, Bucks, Pacers, Heat, Bulls, Hawks, Raptors. And in the West, they're the Timberwolves, the Suns, the Kings, the Pelicans, the Warriors, the Rockets, and the Utah Jazz.
Jazz look real bad.
Yeah, the Jazz are. First of all,
Jazz are.
Let's start
really
here
struggling
because we were both going to give three takes, and one of the takes I know we both had. The Wizards have been super fun to watch.
I was as down on their situation as I could possibly have been. Last year was a complete disaster. None of the young players showed any promise. Like it was, like Jordan Poole looked like he was lost. But then this year, there's just a lot to be interested in. I'm not saying that they're going to be good. I'm not saying that they're going to be 500 or make the playoffs or the play-in or anything like that. But what I do think is you have the foundation of a few real players. And, humor me if you will. Bilal Coulibaly has a chance to be special.
Before you go on your Bilal rant, because I have watched him a couple times this year, he just, first of all, athletically, he's fluid and he has a burst. And I've seen aggressiveness from him on offense that I just didn't see last year.
He's exploding to the rim, and he's also a very willing passer. Mm-hmm. He's averaging 4 assists a game, which for a wing is nothing to sneeze at. Also, he's guarding the point guard every possession.
Yeah.
He's 6'8" with a 7'3" wingspan. So even if he does not end up being a 25-point-a-game starter, I think his floor at this point is probably Mikal Bridges with a little bit more defensive upside. That's kind of what I'm seeing from him.
People are really high on Mikal Bridges. You think he has a Mikal Bridges floor? I think the Knicks would take that right now.
I think Coulibaly could be that good. He's that athletic and that big and long. Now, Alex Sarr is the other thing. His numbers aren't there. His shooting percentages are not there. But he'll make 5 or 6 wild plays every game for you.
He looks very fluid athletically, which I think is, considering coming off of Summer League and preseason, is a very good sign about how athletic and how appropriate he looks on the court. Like he doesn't look out of place is my overall
Absolutely.
point.
I think his basketball IQ is extremely low at this point, which is expected. He's played very, very little organized basketball. But when you're looking for a big man or a Giannis type I'm not calling him Giannis or anything like that, but you're looking for that unicorn type player. You're looking for certain things. I think you're going to look for shooting ability, and I think you'll agree with me. Although the percentages aren't there, that touch is there. He has
His stroke looks good. It hit this. It looks like a shot that can be developed into something that will be a weapon.
Absolutely. I think it has tremendous upside. His defensive ability, he has the capability to be an all defensive type player.
Yeah, especially if he's playing in terms of off ball, he can be everywhere because he is so athletic and just can get from point A to point B very quickly.
Exactly. He can go from really corner to corner of the 3-point line in 3 or 4 steps. So to have that as kind of a baseline is huge. And on top of that, very willing passer, and from everything I'm watching on the court, a very good teammate. People are pumped up for him when he makes a big play. I think that's great. Now, it's hard to talk about Jordan Poole and Kuzma as future assets. They're not going
to be there in the future.
Yeah,
they're there to sustain.
They're placeholders
right now.
They're placeholders. I guess the third guy that is kind of making me think that there is a bona fide future is Bub Carrington.
Yeah, he's a Baltimore guy. I love Bub.
Yeah, so put that aside, and yes, Bub is a Baltimore guy. I
can't put it aside. Cannot.
Well, I can't put it aside either because he's in my heart because he played for Carmelo Anthony's AAU team. It's called Team Mello. It's actually a team that my kids play against in all the tournaments and all that. So like there is
humble brag.
Humble brag. They beat the hell out of us. I mean, it's not like a secret that they're good. But it's cool that they developed that kid from 7 years old to college. He went to Pitt, started Pitt last year, and he's a knockdown shooter, and he's aggressive.
Really good. Yeah.
He can do everything. I think his floor is a really high level 6-man, which would put him as a really great piece for our team moving forward.
And they also re-signed Corey Kispert, which I know it's not like a sexy signing. I think Kispert is going to have a double-digit year career in the NBA. He's a professional player.
Oh my God,
a knockdown shooter.
Give me a team, and I want Corey Kispert on it.
Yeah.
I mean, just because he's playing on a bad team and he can't elevate, just because he can't elevate a bad team to good, doesn't mean he can't take a good team to great with his shooting. Mm-hmm. That's my view on that.
Let's move. We talked a lot about the Yankees and the Wizards, two teams that people listening do not want to hear about. So I'm going to move on to one of my takes, and then you'll go with one of your takes. My first take, and I know we talked about this, so it's probably one of yours too, that you're going to have to just go skip it. Nobody's beating the Celtics. Now they're not undefeated. They lost the other night to, I believe, Cleveland. No, Pacers. Sorry, they lost to the Pacers. But they look so much better than even in the Pacers game. Like they came back to tie it, and they were down. They were down like 15 points with 3 minutes to go. It was just, they had a lapse in focus and concentration for that game, but just at every position. Tatum is playing at an MVP level. Jaylen Brown is a supreme number 2 option on a team, and their role players, White White or even their bench players are just playing incredibly. I just think no one's beating them.
No, I agree, and I think the simplest way to look at this is they won the championship with Tatum not able to shoot the basketball.
Right, exactly.
They won it all without him. Like he was not. I mean, he played well and he was still a good facilitator and all that stuff, but like he was not Jason Tatum. He's Jason Tatum again, and it makes that team way better. They don't even have Porzingis back, and they're still killing people. Like that team is going to be on a run now. Obviously, they might have to turn over a few of the guys in a couple of years, but you give me Tatum and Brown, it's a good future.
The player I was searching for was Drew Holiday earlier. Holiday is just such a monster, and this leads me to like a bit of a different point, but we can come right back to the Celtics. I think it's absolutely clear that a couple of years ago when the Bucks were trying to make a move, they traded the wrong supporting player for Giannis. If they had Drew Holiday instead of Chris Middleton in this, I just think they would have extended their championship window so much more so than even having Drew and Dame. I mean, that is a killer backcourt.
That brings. I mean, that's a perfect segue to my next take, which is that the Bucks are done.
Yeah.
They're done. Giannis is. My guess is Giannis will be traded within the next 12 months. I think that's without a question. They have no future. They have no players. Lillard is fine some nights, but he still doesn't play enough defense in this modern NBA to matter.
Bill Simmons calls him once a week Lillard because he shows up once a week, and then there's 2 other games where he's just
I could see that. I don't think that's unfair. But even when he's on, he's still letting up a ton. You know, he's more like Trae Young now than he is Damian Lillard, and that's just not going to work. And Giannis isn't going to take it. And Doc Rivers entered a horrible situation and has no way to dig himself out. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but like Giannis is not going to hang around and watch this happen.
Well, listen, they're 1-4 right now as we speak. You know, last year they made a bunch of excuses. Doc came in the middle of the year. Damian Lillard didn't have a real training camp.
That's a good point. I wanted to touch on that Lillard didn't have that training camp. I wonder how many 35-year-olds skip working out in an offseason and then regain their form.
I understand that point that you're making. I just think that was bullshit. I don't think that was true, that he's just skip working out. I think it was just another excuse that they were using for the fact that
it makes sense now.
Lillard is sort of washed. And Doc it doesn't matter how good of a coach he is or isn't. This team just doesn't have the pieces around Giannis.
They're too slow. They have no depth. It's done. Like unless Giannis is down for like a 2-year rebuild where they completely reshuffle everything.
Yeah. Which
I doubt he is, but he might be. I mean, but there's so many teams that would die for Giannis. Here's a good follow-up. Where would you think is the best Giannis fit other than Milwaukee?
So you're asking me where I think it would be a good fit, not where I think he's going to go.
I guess combine the two, the best out of all the locations, combine them into fit and where you think he would go.
So I think the best fit would be Golden State. And you know what? They have a lot of young players and all their picks in order to trade it. I don't know if that can possibly happen, but I think like he's in his lower 30s. Steph is at 35. The timeline works out. Draymond can take a lot of the pounding. If they could get Giannis in there, they could have a 2 to 3 year window right now and really contend for a title. Obviously, Giannis is going to want to contend a little longer than that, but I think Golden State is an ideal fit for Giannis specifically. I don't think he's going to end up there. I think he's probably going to end up in like Miami just because Miami always pulls this shit off.
They do.
But yeah, I think Golden State, like for the next 2-3 years, is an amazing fit for Giannis.
I think it could be, but I think it might just be too late for them to do that kind of move. I think they might be on the Steph needs to go somewhere kind of mode within the next 12 months, maybe. But if they do show improvement in some of the, I could see that. I think that there's one fit that makes too much sense. That a deal could be worked out in 2 seconds if the team was willing, and that's OKC.
Oklahoma City, yeah.
That's OKC. Yeah. You stick him next to Chet. I don't know. I don't know what you do at that point as an opponent. Chet can spread the floor for him. Like, come on, those guys together they'd have a 16-foot wingspan.
No, it's just what are you giving up? Now they have the draft picks. They have the straight up picks to get it done without giving up any players. But you can't. You got to maintain. You got to be under that second apron, right? So you have to give up some salaries there.
They're not that close. They don't have big salaries.
Yeah, but even without that, you need to get within 80% of the salaries to match.
Hartenstein would probably be involved in any in any trade. Jalen Williams would be a questionable addition. That would probably be if they don't go crazy on the draft picks. Jalen Williams would maybe be involved. Yeah. If not, then you're probably looking at definitely like a Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace type people being in there. But they could give them like 4 people and 4 first-round picks and just call it a day.
Yeah, no, that's a great location. I don't know, man.
SGA and those 2 guys, you could just call it for me, and that's the best team for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's a scary prospect, and it's too simple. You're absolutely right.
It's too simple.
They have all the picks. They have a lot of really intriguing young players. We talked about that in our wins draft. that would be an incredible, and they'd be the immediate favorite. I mean, they would surpass the Celtics in a second if they got Giannis.
Well, yeah. So I think with a lot of people. I mean, like if somehow the Heat got him and still had Butler and Bam, like that would be probably. Well, I don't even know if that fits.
I don't think you'd have to trade Jimmy Butler. Butler's on an expiring. You'd have to get
Butler wouldn't even be. I don't think that Miami has enough to trade for Giannis personally.
No, I guess not. I don't know, man. They pull this shit off. I wouldn't put it past them to get him.
I wouldn't put it past them. As a free agent, I would say they'd probably be favorites. It's just in the trade market when they have all these huge contracts, I don't know how they'd get there.
All right, I'm going to go back to my next take. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. This is not a hot take. This has been said multiple times, but it needs to be said on Monday Night Conversations. Jokic has to be averaging 35 plus a night for the Nuggets to have any chance of relevancy this year. It looks sad, man. Jokic does not want to be scoring every single possession down the court, and that's what he's forced to do because even though Jamal Murray has looked better than he looked in the summer, and Aaron Gordon's fine, Michael Porter Jr. is a nothing, and all of their role players are nothing. And it is tough sledding. And Russell Westbrook, I read that, I saw that Russell Westbrook was like a minus like 57 already on the year.
Yeah, he the plus minus with Westbrook versus the rest of the team, it's pretty sad. I think the Nuggets can only be who they need to be if Jamal Murray's an A-plus player. Mm-hmm. Like he was in the bubble playoffs and like he was when they won the title, where he's a knockdown shooter, rocks. He's not that guy right now. I don't know if it's coming back or not, but
in the bubble playoffs, if you remember, him and Donovan Mitchell were like going back and forth with 50-point games in the series.
They looked
Donovan
like
was in Utah.
They look like two of the top 5 best players in the world during the bubble. Yeah,
and Donovan Mitchell has like largely maintained that form. Like, here and there, this year, I think he looks incredible. Jamal Murray has taken a nosedive since they won the championship.
I mean, yeah, I agree. The only thing with Donovan Mitchell, I would say, is he's always the A option for every team he's been on, and I don't think he should be.
I agree. I completely agree with that take. I think that the Cavs have built, which brings me to my next point, the Cavs are going to be the number 2 seed in the East.
I don't disagree.
They look incredible, and who would have thought Dean Wade would come into the Cavs season and like really fill out that starting lineup with Strus out?
Didn't Dean Wade have a twin brother?
Yeah, no, it's Dwayne Wade. You're thinking of Dwayne Wade. Dean Wade and Dwayne Wade were on the Cavs at the same time, so that might be what you're thinking of, I think. But no. Mitchell looks incredible, and Garland is back to the year, not last year's Garland, but the year before. Garland last year had a face mask on. He had a broken bone in his face and just never really seemed right. But he is back to full form. I also, we've all been waiting for the Cavs to step up and develop Evan Mobley, and Kenny Atkinson certainly seems like he's been able to develop him into where he's not just standing in the corner and shooting threes, that he can handle the ball a little bit, he can get to the basket, he can shoot. And, listen, I've been on Mobley Island since he was drafted. I know you have too, and it looks like our patience is paying off.
When you look at all the teams in the East especially, and then you kind of look at the Cavs a little bit, the Celtics will keep in their own category, of course.
Yep.
They just have more talent than other teams.
Yeah,
their starting five's loaded. Max Strus isn't even playing right now, and he's a really clutch player who's proven himself in the playoffs. Karis LeVert's an awesome 6-man, not a good 6-man, an awesome 6-man. They're just a really good team who's set up wonderfully for the regular season. Their problem is going to be in the playoffs when when Allen and Mobley should be each playing 40 minutes a game, but can't because they can't play together. They really can't.
Well, we'll see. That remains to be seen.
Mobley's not shooting this year.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see how he keeps developing. But I want to move to your next take, because I think I've given like 4 takes already.
Okay, so my next take is something that I'm really worried about.
Yeah.
Like when I saw it, I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
So the University of Maine had their biggest commitment for basketball in a long time. And it was a gentleman by the name of Ace Flagg. Do you know who Ace Flagg is?
Yes, Ace Frehley's nephew.
No, he's Cooper Flagg's twin brother.
Oh.
How bad do you feel for Ace Flag?
Why? Because he's going to Maine.
He's just this schmo going to University of Maine, writing a press release saying, "I can't wait to be a Maine whatever, a Maine bear."
Yeah, he's a bear.
That's a big take.
Well, this is an NBA six-pack, Matt.
But Cooper Flag is going to be in the NBA, but Ace Flag is going to be sad the rest of his life.
Listen, Ace Flag. It could work out for Ace Flag. Are they actually twin brothers? Is that true?
Twin brothers.
Good for Ace going to college on a basketball scholarship.
But the Boozer brothers are twins, but they're both very good. So
yeah,
it's
they're
going to
both
work out for them.
they're both coming to Duke.
The Thompson twins went 4 and 5 in the draft. That's like best case scenario for twins.
Yeah,
like that's like, hey, we're good, man.
the Flag twins aren't as lucky talent wise. You're saying?
Clearly, even the Lopez twins, like Robin still had a nice career and is living pretty. Like Robin still had a couple $10 million a year seasons.
So you're counting out Ace Flag,
unless the main basketball program takes off because of him. Yeah,
maybe you just want to stay close to home, bud. Listen. I'm not doubting Ace Flag for 1 second, and you can put that on the record.
I got another NBA take, an actual NBA take. That was just something I thought about because I thought it's really sad for Ace. I'm worried for Wemby.
Yeah,
that team's duty balls.
Yeah, they're not great. And you thought with the addition of of Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes that we better. I know I did. I thought they would be better. So far they haven't, but it's still early in the season. These takes are hot. They're burning. They're scorching, but they're not necessarily permanent because it is still like 5-6 games into the season, and there's a lot of basketball left to be played.
Right. I get that. I watched a couple Spurs games, and it's almost like it's not a Popovich team. Like no one's where they're supposed to be. Everyone looks lost. Everyone's just kind of watching Wemby, hoping that he does something cool. Like that's basically the vibe I get from it.
I heard a stat today that Wemby's touches per game are less than Jeremy Sochan's touches per game. I heard a stat that Wemby's touches are less than Kelly Oubre's per game. I mean, it's just you got to give the guy the ball a little bit.
But when you have an offense that is with a bunch of people that don't know how to play basketball other than Chris Paul, it's a problem. I don't think Wemby knows how to play basketball yet. Is the problem? Like I don't think it's necessarily everyone else. I think he wanders. I think he sits at the 3-point line too often. I'm not saying he's not amazing and a unicorn and going to be fantastic, but he has to still learn his way to becoming great.
The second half after the All-Star break last season, he was so good and put up such strong numbers and really affected winning more than just the numbers. I think he's got to get back in that rhythm. I don't know what's going on, if he's like got a nagging injury or something or what.
Is Pop the best coach to have this guy thrive early in his career? Is a 75-year-old Pop able to coach a 20-year-old unicorn right now? That's what you have to understand, because Pop's entire system is very Belichick-like. It's very do your job, keep your head down, no pride, no, all that stuff. And that's not what the NBA is. We know that. No. That's not what the NBA is anymore. So is he going to be able to even instill his culture on this team? I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think in terms of Wemby, we're going to have to just keep our heads down and let it play out a little bit.
I'm certainly, but this is not, I don't want to say this is anything about Wemby's talent. Like he's phenomenal. He literally had a 5x5 last night. Like those things don't happen.
No, it's incredible. So we got to wrap this up, Matt. But NFL talk. Any specific things you're looking forward to this NFL weekend, which I believe is week 9?
Other than the Ravens getting back on track, I guess I'm just interested in people just not getting hurt. The injuries in the NFL have just been piling up to the point of, you're starting to watch some pretty bad football games. Let's be real. People got really excited last night about a 21-13 Jets win, and it was probably the most boring game I watched except for one catch.
Yeah, no,
it was a great catch, but that game sucked.
I'm with you. No injuries. I do think the Ravens are going to get back on track. They're playing home against the Broncos. I think I've seen the line at 8.5 and 9.5. I think they're going to just crush the Broncos. I think they're going to come out there and play with a vengeance.
I would not take the Broncos too lightly. They're very well coached. We all know that. Sean Payton's a phenomenal coach. He really is. The fact that he had that team last year, as good as they were, makes zero sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just concerned that he's seeing what everyone else is seeing on the Ravens defense, and you're going to see that second linebacker and the corners picked on early and often, and I don't know if we're going to have an answer.
I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be able to exploit that, though. I'm not.
I don't know. I don't know if he has the arm strength to work the sidelines like that, to really threaten us like that. I agree with you.
Definitely looking forward to the Lions-Packers game this weekend. That's going to be a really good one. Let's hope Jordan Love plays. He's still questionable as of recording right now.
I'm a little interested to see if Malik Willis has something more in him.
Yeah, I wrote him off early, but he's looked pretty good.
If Malik Willis has another reserve duty and he can put on a show, he's going to buy himself into a starting quarterback position next year.
Also interested in the Rams-Seahawks game because that could hold like really big implications for the NFC West. If the Rams win this game, they have the inside track to win the NFC West.
I think it's just going to depend on Puka Nakua's availability on Sunday.
Puka!
I think Puka's freaking phenomenal, and if he's on the field with Cooper Kupp, I would take the Rams to beat pretty much any team anytime. They're that good. Yeah. But if you just take one of them out, you never know.
All right, y'all. Please make sure you follow us on YouTube at MNC Pod, on Facebook and Instagram at Monday Night Conversations. Like, download our podcast, subscribe to all the things. Matt, thank you so much for being here, bud.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me be with you.
Again, Matt has to go to sleep because it's late and he is tired.
As the sun is blaring through your window behind you and bouncing off my wall where my finger is pointing.
At this point, it's a running bit, so it's going to keep.
Actually, that's a lamp.
Good stuff. Well, everyone, please take care of yourself and each other.
You take care of yourself. You need the most taken care of.